Welcome to Loving the Carolinas. We're your hosts, Keith,
and Liz.
and we are excited to have you join us on this journey. Right now, let's sit back, relax, and let us tell you some of the things that make us love the Carolinas.
Judge for yourselves. There are no finer towns than the ones that we played and drank and sang on the roads we went down, down, down. You know where to find me. You know where I'll be found. So to hell with them way out west of Carolina bound.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Loving the Carolinas. I am Keith Porter, and I am joined here by my beautiful hottie wife, Liz Porter. How you doing, sweetie?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. See, you even have the cute voice. Like, I can't get over it. You know, that's one of the things that made me want to marry you is whenever I saw you doing karaoke on
App.
the app, yeah. We were using Smule at the time, and what was that other? Star Maker. We were using, yeah. And listening you do the Disney songs, and what was that other one? I'm going to wash that man right out of my hair.
It's from South Pacific.
Something about that song made me want to, like...
Get into my hair.
Yeah. And I think I've done a good job of that.
Definitely.
So, welcome. Just so you know what it is we're trying to do, this is going to be a podcast about the beauty, history, and culture of the Carolinas. Each week, you'll join us as we take on a journey through the two great states of North Carolina and South Carolina. From the stunning beaches and the majestic mountains to the vibrant cities and charming towns, we'll explore everything that makes the Carolinas unique and lovable. Hosted by your two experts here, myself and my Liz. Our podcast features interviews with historians, chefs, artists, musicians, and other special guests who we can hoodwink into jumping on our microphone with us. But we'll make sure that they all share their love and knowledge of the Carolinas with you. We'll dive deep into the rich history, discover hidden gems, and we'll even uncover the stories behind the famous landmarks and attractions. And of course, we'll also discuss the famous Southern food, music, and culture that make the Carolinas such a special place. So whether you're a proud Carolinian, a new resident, or just a curious traveler, join us as we explore everything that makes the Carolinas a one-of-a-kind destination. So, hopefully that's enough to make you tune in to Loving the Carolinas wherever you get your podcasts. So, the logical question that I would expect anybody to ask at this point, before we get too deep into this podcast, is why the hell should I listen to you?
That's a great question.
In this first episode, I thought we would take some time to kind of let you get to know us and hear our story and see what it was that brought us to this magical point where we are coming in through your ears. So, did you want to start, babe?
Did I ever tell you about that one time at work where I had to introduce myself and tell one interesting thing about myself?
Oh, dear Lord.
And I got nervous because there were a lot of new people there. And I said, well, my name is Liz, and I like murder.
Oh, God.
What I meant to say was that at the time, I really liked listening to true crime podcasts. I've kind of taken a break lately, but I meant to say that, but that's not what came out of my mouth.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to make sure you know more about us other than the fact that my wife enjoys murder. And let me let you know who we are. So let's start with me. I do not love murder. I am a lover of history. I'm a lover of all things education. And that would be why I have spent the last 7 years educating little ones. I am a 7-year teacher. Unfortunately, I'm about to get out. It's May right now, and I'm finishing up the last month of my teaching journey. I am moving into real estate, and that brings us to why the topic of this is loving the Carolinas, because I'm getting to know not just North Carolina, but South Carolina. It's something that I feel very strongly about. Like, I can tell you, I never thought I would ever leave South Carolina.
Mm.
Like when I met you, I told you I was content being in Columbia. Like I was within 90 minutes of anything I could want: mountains, beaches. We want to go to the Georgia route, Savannah. Like I could, I was close. Like I was in the center, living in Columbia. So it was like I was right in the center of the pie-shaped state. And the only thing that made me leave Columbia before I met you was when I went and did a year in Augusta, Georgia, with Hollywood Video, which should date me, guys. But Columbia is where I thought I would always be. That's where my friends were. That's where I was from. It wasn't until I met a beautiful woman who already had a house that I decided to move, because I wasn't going to make her sell her house and move just for me. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was born in 1985. I lived in small town Elgin, South Carolina. It's about 20 minutes away from Columbia. I love the small town vibe. Like, even now, I love having that. Like, we had an acre and a quarter in our yard, and that was a nice size yard for me. We got to run around. We had pets all the time. It was fenced in, and like, there was no reason for us to leave the yard to go to friend's house. They could come to us. We had plenty of room.
Right.
So, my first wife was from Charleston, so I got to see a whole lot of Charleston and everything in the drive up 26 to Charleston. So, I just love South Carolina. Like, so much to see. I'm kind of all over the place right now, but I was teaching in Kershaw County and met you after I got divorced, and somehow you witchcrafted me into moving up here.
You just made that choice because you knew it was the smart thing to do at the time.
It was.
Yeah.
There was very little holding me to Columbia, and I was just holding on to memories at that point. So, where did I move? To Rock Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I moved in with you after we got married, and we were there. And now we've just moved over the state line into Charlotte, North Carolina. In fact, when I say just over the state line, you know that the state line runs through our neighborhood, right?
Yeah, it's in the backyard of the people on the...
All that to say that I'm from South Carolina. I was a teacher. Now we're in Charlotte, and I'm a real estate agent finishing up teaching, and I am loving it. We got some exciting things going on. Of course, I'm a realtor here in Charlotte and the surrounding areas, so Fort Mill, Rock Hill still. I am dual licensed in North and South Carolina. If you're curious, you can reach out to me. I'll put my information in the show notes even.
Yay.
Always prospecting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's me. Tell us about you, babe.
Well, my name is Liz Porter, and I am a kindergarten teacher. I've been teaching for 16 years, I think. Pretty sure. I teach kindergarten, so I don't have to do that, high-ordered math.
See, I love the higher math.
Yeah. Let me think. Oh, well, I'm actually not from the Carolinas at all, but I've lived here for about 21 years. So most of my adult life.
Let's see if people can guess based on your favorite football team.
The Steelers. But lots of people like the Steelers, and they don't necessarily live in Pennsylvania.
I'm pretty sure it's a very localized thing. Like,
I don't think so.
People outside of Pittsburgh don't like the Steelers, do they?
Oh, you're gonna get so many nasty comments on this.
Is this one of those things where like bad comments are good because it's still comments? We might have lost our listener base in Pittsburgh.
Please don't leave just because my husband is a Southerner. But anyway.
I tease her. I see the appeal of the Steelers. Does that work?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
How can you hate the city of champions? I mean, it's just kind of hard.
Champions. Now, are you referring to all sports? Does that include baseball?
In the past, it has. We've had some good seasons recently where we won a few.
A few games.
But, if you're from Pittsburgh, you still have to support every team, whether you win or lose. It's just reassuring that 2 of our 3 professional teams win a lot.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't. South Carolina doesn't have a professional baseball team, and football team. The closest I have is the Panthers. We had one good run in the last 10 years, and I don't think I could really say much past that.
But I like the Panthers, too, because I have lived here for more than half my life now.
Oh, so you're being converted to a Carolina franchise, right? So you and I went to a Hornets game recently.
Yeah, Pittsburgh doesn't have a good pro basketball team, so I can fully root for the Hornets.
Okay, so we got Panthers, we got Hornets. Nice. All right, so go ahead. You left off with you are from Pittsburgh.
I am. Well, I'm from outside of Pittsburgh, a small town. And just in case anybody out there was wondering, the best chocolate that you can find is not in Hershey, Pennsylvania. It's in Canonsburg.
Hershey's is in Canonsburg?
No. They're just not the best chocolate in Pennsylvania. It's Sarris's.
I plead the fifth.
You like Sarris.
I do. I also like a good Hershey bar, okay? So, I'm not as, adamant that I need to turn everybody as you are.
Well, sometimes I like some good Sour Pouch Kids, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to say that Hershey's is as good as Sarris. Because it's not.
Okay, so you were in Pittsburgh. Well, golly gee, how did you get down here?
My family moved south because my dad wanted to get into racing, and he was able to do that. But I just graduated from high school when we moved, so I went to Wingate University in Monroe, North Carolina, and I lived in Mooresville for a few years after that, and then I moved down here to Rock Hill for a job.
We were both teaching and doing our own thing, and then somehow, as luck would have it, we wound up on Christian Mingle together and started messaging one another. And, it's funny because I think I've told you this. I sent you a message, completely jaded with the whole process. I was tired of sending messages to people who weren't going to respond or who were just fake people. And so my message to you was a little bit off the wall. My sarcasm was coming out big time, I think. I think that's what made you respond.
It was, but it was also oh, wow, there's somebody who feels the same way I do about this.
So basically, if you want somebody on a dating site, send them a message as if you know they're not going to respond.
Yeah, it works.
So we started messaging and made plans for a date. And I remember this. It was pretty interesting. We were texting, and she says, so I need your license plate number. And did you ask for my driver's license number too?
Oh, a picture of your driver's license.
Picture of my driver's license and my tag number. And I was like, okay, I guess you got my apprehension. And you're like, my mom needs to know who I'm going out with in case something happens. She just wants to make sure you're not an axe murderer.
Safety first.
And so my response was, okay, I mean, that's funny. I haven't murdered anyone with an axe in years. And you still went out with me.
Yeah.
You like murder. Oh, and then I accidentally gave you the wrong tag number.
You did. I don't think I ever told Mom that, so let's hope she's not finding out on this podcast.
It wasn't like a fake number, guys. I swapped 2 numbers in it. It was just an honest mistake. But if she sent somebody out looking for me, they weren't going to come to me.
Yeah, but they still had your license, a picture of your license, and that would have been pretty easy to track.
So we met each other at a nice little historic venue in Rock Hill.
Oh, that was my idea.
It was? But she knew, I had told her how much I liked history, and she said, well, we're going to do dinner and history.
Mm-hmm.
And well, she said dinner and a show,
No,
and it
I
was
don't think I said a show.
it was a restaurant with a little museum inside. So, like, she really picked the perfect place for me, and I was so excited to be there with her. Like, she was smiling. She was not as shy as she let on. She would talk forever about school, like education stuff. And guys, she was 4'11". I love short girls.
And a half, 11 and a half. How many times do we have to talk about this?
With shoes on. So let's get to the next part. You talked, I listened. I made eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
I responded to what you said.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't just talk about myself. I listened and I asked questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a lovely night. We weren't ready to go home yet, so we walked around the town square.
Main Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We walked in circles a few times, and then we left. And I find out later that you thought you weren't going to see me again. Why was that?
I felt you were creepy.
Why was I creepy?
When you maintain eye contact, you are supposed to blink.
So, lucky for me, she had a friend who she reported back to afterwards, who she told about her creepy date. And I guess your friend wanted more elaboration, right?
Yeah.
So you told her, he just kept looking at me while I was talking.
Yes.
And she's like looking at you in a weird way. And you said, well, I mean, he just
Looked at me.
Like, oh, did he ignore you?
No.
So he listened to you.
Yes. Guess so. That's about how that conversation went.
So he was interested in what you had to say.
Yeah. I guess so. So I kept him anyway.
Well, it might have had something to do with the fact that I told her I would wait the necessary 3 days before calling her back.
Texted me like 20 minutes later.
But I didn't call you. But what did I do that next day?
Next day you FaceTime me.
Do you remember why I told you I FaceTimed you?
Because you said you weren't going to call me for 3 days.
But why did I say I FaceTimed you?
I don't remember then. Because I thought that was the reason.
Because I wanted to see your face.
Oh. Of course.
And you probably thought it was creepy then too, right?
I don't know. You know, really what attracted to me to your profile was you wearing a purple wig.
Ladies and gentlemen, so I am bald. Not completely, but I am balding. So whenever I'm at school and we do crazy hair days, I wear wigs. So yeah, apparently I put that picture on my profile.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. So she really does like my sexy
I just
bald
think
head.
that the general public should know that about you because it just explains so much about you.
That I wear purple wigs?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not everybody can pull that off.
I mean, not everybody in the Carolinas, which we love, right?
Right.
See, look at that. We brought it back.
Mm-hmm.
So we are married. We've been married for going on 4 years now. 4 years on June 29th. You're welcome. And now we are starting on this journey of podcasting together. That is who we are in a nutshell. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode and getting to know us. Feel free to ask us any questions. Let us know any concerns you might have about Carolinas or anything of that sort. Hopefully you don't have concerns on the basis of who we are, because the solution to that is just don't listen. I mean, everybody has that choice, right?
Yeah.
They can either listen or not.
Right.
I mean, I would love for you to listen because I hate talking to myself. All right. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully, I'll edit this down into an appropriate version that you find acceptable. The next episode we do will be business as expected, not as usual, because we don't have a usual yet, do we? So we'll do a business as expected. In fact, our next episode is going to be on the history of the Carolinas, specifically why there are 2 of them. So if you are curious about that, and if you can't answer that off the top of your head, tune into that one. All right. You have anything to say before we sign out?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, this is Keith.
And Liz.
And thank you for joining us on Loving the Carolinas.
Thank you.